Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler, surrounded by most but not all of the Doctrinaires. Tim Andrews is here. Autumn Fisher is here. Jared Yamamoto is... He's had a very difficult weekend, and I'll let him speak to that when he gets here, but we're thinking about him. I don't want to get ahead of Jared, and I don't know what he's doing on social media. But
he's addressed it.
Okay, well, he lost his mom on Friday, and so he's in North Carolina with family, and our thoughts certainly are with him. We have English Nick here, who is going to fill in capably.
And tear up about Jared's.
Well, I know. You're very emotional. We're all very emotional. And, it's a lot. Jared is 30 and his mom was 57. Ooh. So you don't expect that to happen at that. We all have to deal with it, but we don't expect it to happen that young. So we are thinking about him. What I do want to let the world know today is, and then mostly I think I want to say to Popeye's Chicken. Nothing against Popeye's Chicken. It's a fine chicken fast food franchise. But quite frankly, this is from me. I have an announcement here. I do not give a damn about your chicken sandwich.
Wasn't it National Chicken Sandwich Day yesterday?
I don't give a damn.
No, National Sandwich Day,
I don't care. I don't care. I am so sick.
Have you tasted it?
No, I don't. I'm sure it's good. I have no doubt that it's good. One day I'll have one and I'll probably say, oh, wait, that was delicious. That was fantastic. But I mean, I don't know what it is. People are waiting for hours. Do people not understand? All right, Eric, back off. I'm not angry. I'm just perplexed by the country I live in sometimes. It really seems to be, and I don't mean to bag on millennials, but they really do seem to be in this... into this standing in line for a limited time item at a fast food place. They stand in line, they get life experiences, I don't know. But it's absurd to me. Thank God. These are people who tweeted, okay? Thank God. Finally got the chicken sandwich. I can't tell you how many exclamation points are in this. Thank God. Finally got the chicken sandwich. Had to wait in line for almost an hour. See, that would never happen to me unless I just couldn't get out of line. Yeah. But then again, I wouldn't have pulled into a line that said, oh, that's about an hour wait. It was somebody else. I waited for 2 hours to get that Popeye's chicken sandwich. It was delicious. No sandwich is that good. And this is what annoys me. Popeye's doesn't annoy me. It's a PR thing. It's working. I'm a capitalist. But this need... that people have to be a part of these sort of events. And you could say maybe it started with the iPhone. But at least you went in there, you bought something you would use for several different things. You eat a sandwich and it's over. I don't care how slow of an eater you are. It's a very short-lived experience.
It stays with you about 24 hours probably.
I just want Popeyes to know, I'm sure the sandwich is good. I'm sure I'll have one in my own good time. I'm in no hurry, and I don't know why I get so emotional about this. I think it's indicative of the dumbing down of this country or what people find to be exciting. If you find this exciting, you are not a very curious person. That's where I'm going, hey, I want to be part of this thing. And then on top of the whole thing, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, millennials love to think that you can't market to them, right? They hate corporations.
They're above it.
And they're not like their stupid parents and grandparents and great-grandparents who fell for this nonsense. But the truth is that they are the most easily marketing generation ever, because all you have to do is create an event that they can be a part of, and they will jump in no matter what. Or lie to them and tell them if they buy this product, it means they're helping to save the world. These are the two ways that you just get them, and it's never been easier. But I will say, on the fast food end, there was something last night I enjoyed. Not just that the New England Patriots got beat. I can't remember which team is this guy on. Do you remember?
He's on the Ravens.
On the Ravens. So they do the thing. I can't remember if it was offensive line or defensive line, but at the beginning they all the guys come and say from the Ohio State University.
Yeah.
I don't know if he caught this. This guy I thought was pretty awesome when it comes to fast food.
Matthew Judon, body built by Taco Bell.
Body built by Taco Bell.
He's looking for some free tacos.
Now, see, here's the thing. The league has to be somewhat a little weirded out by this because you hit one thing, which is why don't I just throw in influencer type of stuff into my thing? Mm-hmm. Once you give a little bit of people are going to run wild, and then once you start letting people tell jokes, where does that end? But this guy landed it because he only had like 5 seconds to get in a good joke, and he landed it.
Matthew Judon, body built by Taco Bell.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Headlines for Monday, November 4th.
All right, I know you're just going to have to wait. I know you can't wait to go get in line for that chicken sandwich.
I have a question. You said they were tweeting.
These are people that were in there.
I didn't know sheep could do the tweet because they only got the two little.
Turns out
it's like a cloven thing.
It's a they call it the cloven keyboard.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you just mash it. When they're not tweeting, they're fighting. There was a huge fight in Atlanta at one of them I saw.
What's going on in your life? You're having a fist fight over a sandwich.
Attacking the manager.
But the reason is because he's probably been waiting for an hour and a half, and it's artificial. They only put him in at certain stores. They could have put. There's no shortage of chicken, people. Look around. This is an artificial thing. And again, I'm a capitalist on the business end, the PR end.
Brilliant.
Way to go, Popeyes. But I mean, for people, I'm an original. I'm going to be the 1 billionth person to tweet about my sandwich today. I don't know why it gets me going so much. All right, go ahead.
All right, Donald Trump responds to fake and lousy polls calling for his impeachment. He says, I have the real polls.
Oh, he's got the real polls, the internal polls.
The ones I take.
You don't like the Fox. This is the problem because you may be surrounding yourself with people who will only give you information they know you will like.
Well, I only want the truth. And a lot of times when they do bad polls about Trump, if they talk about President Trump, it's a bad poll. And it's bad. So the good polls are the ones I want to be fed the truth. Right?
Yeah, well, I understand that you want to be fed the truth, but what if the truth doesn't have you?
If the truth's a bitter pill, I'll swallow it.
The problem is that it doesn't. They're reacting to these polls that show Biden beating him by 13% or whatever, and history always shows this a year out. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe not always, but most election cycles, people just always want something different. But right now, you got a bunch of people in a primary talking about a bunch of ideas, and some of them may turn people on. And if you ask, no one's ever fully satisfied. But in the end, a year from now, it's going to be 2 people. And that's a whole different thing. And when you start thinking about, do we want to throw away capitalism as a system? Maybe people do, but maybe they don't. And they're not thinking of that right now. They're just thinking, things seem crazy. It'd be nice to calm things down. But in the past, without Trump as president, there was a while there where after he got the nomination, Mondale was beating Reagan. All right, but it doesn't work. Then we get the spotlight. Then we get the negative commercials. It's only 2 people. And so the Trump administration, just by responding to these early polls that show him being beat by Biden by double digits, is I think it shows a little bit of amateurism. Yeah. I have to say, you just ignore those polls and don't be driven by them, and don't care about Joe Biden and his son other than finding out about corruption in general in Ukraine. And then if their names come up as part of it, they come up as part of it. But you can see this weird kind of paranoia. I don't know that you could. Trump is not a classic paranoid. He's a classic narcissist. But this weird paranoia that presidents get when in reality, he should just be talking about the economy, basically peace in our time, those sort of things.
Just do your job.
They usually, they usually get you reelected. A good economy alone usually gets you reelected. Obama changed that when Obama won reelection on a bad economy. But people blamed Bush for the crash, and they thought 4 years isn't enough. But if Trump were to lose next year, we would go in the opposite direction for something that's even rarer, which is losing a second term in a booming economy. Uh-huh. And if that happens, then it's just all personality, really. But I honestly, unlike the administration that seems paranoid, I still think that, not a shoo-in, but the sitting president has an advantage and is most likely going to be reelected. If it's just President X, whoever it is, you have a built-in advantage, and then you add a good economy to it. We don't know what things are going to be like in a year.
Do we care about polls anymore? Let's think about Brexit. Let's think about Trump getting elected. The polls didn't say that was going to happen.
That's what he's saying, but he's saying that his internal polls are showing him doing fantastic.
Is that just to keep the base just riled up constantly?
I don't
always
know.
Alert on Trump's side.
I guess. I don't know. I think if you really want people to be alert, you'd tell them there's danger ahead.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it hurts a candidate to say, oh, we're doing so well, because the people who are behind them will go, he's doing all right, doesn't need me. I'll just go do something else on a Tuesday. Really. So in a way, you want to alarm your people by saying, hey, this is close. When Reagan beat Mondale like he did, the last 3 or 4 weeks, everywhere he was, he's like, this is not one. Because all the polls by the end were showing that it was going to be an overwhelming victory for Reagan. And so the big thing becomes then, it's like, I got to get my people to get up and go out, because if they all assume we're going to win.
And sit on their laurels. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit what happened to Hillary in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and... What was the other one she won? Michigan?
Michigan.
Yeah. That could have been there, because if you were a Hillary fan, you were fed 2 years of Trump can't win. So on the election day comes, it's not.
No one's voting for that guy.
It's easy. So I found him funny yesterday. So this whole thing about the whistleblower, there's a lot of stories out there about how he's inching closer to outing the whistleblower. Number one, I don't know if he knows who the whistleblower is. There's a guy out there who's a Lieutenant Colonel Vinkman or something that the press is speculating is the whistleblower. So it's okay for the press to put it out there, but if the president does it, then it's going to be a big deal. But the fact that people are surprised that Trump wants to out the whistleblower, you got to get it. Do people not watch this guy for the last couple of years? The exasperation.
He does.
Like, this is how. I've watched him enough to know that in his mind, the whistleblower is trying to destroy him. Right? Therefore, he has the right to punch back twice as hard. That's the way the guy operates. I don't think anywhere in Trump's mind does he feel like, well, if protocol and the process lead to me being removed from office, well, I guess that's just the way that it's going to be.
And that's the way it works in this country. That's, everybody, you got rules.
Yeah. I think he doesn't, he obviously he doesn't want impeachment on his record, but it doesn't seem to have hurt Clinton over the years.
Trump punches first and asks questions second.
But I think that with impeachment, it's starting to happen so often and be talked about in so many administrations that if it keeps happening, after a while, history won't care. Because people rarely talk about impeachment with Bill Clinton. I mean, Monica Lewinsky jokes aside, it really is not a huge part of his legacy. And I think that's because most people consider that it was political, given the fact that those who worked the impeachment in the House knew he would not be removed. This is what I'm trying to say to Democrats now. You're doing the same thing. It's always political when you knowing he will not be removed. Because then you're just trying to stain the person's presidency. If you can't remove the president, an impeachment is an indictment in the legal system, right? Mm-hmm. Prosecutors don't just bring indictments for the fun of it. They bring them when they feel they've got an overwhelming chance to win, so they don't waste their time, the court's time, everything. So if you go for impeachment, this is the von Haessler Doctrine rule. Doesn't matter if you're Republicans or you're Democrats and you run the House. If you go to impeach a president, knowing that he will or she will not be removed, then de facto, that's pure politics, partisan politics. We know impeachment is always political, but there's a persuasive part. Richard Nixon resigned because he knew he would lose Republicans and he knew he would be removed from office. Also, in a strange way that we can't even begin to understand in this environment, through a sense of patriotism. I don't want to put the country through that because actually removing a president is never been done before. So we don't know how this is going to work out. So I'll remove myself. But he's talking about the whistleblower, and he says some weird...
The whistleblower should be revealed because the whistleblower gave false stories. Some people would call it a fraud. I won't go that far, but when I read it closely, I probably would.
What?
But the whistleblower should be revealed.
I don't understand.
I won't go that far, but when I read it closely, I probably would.
When I read it, so I probably wouldn't go
Out
that
here,
far.
I don't go that far. Bring it close. I might go that far.
Have you not read into the thing?
No.
You haven't had enough time?
I haven't had enough time to digest it. Once I look into it a little bit more, maybe.
The
I won't
magnifying
go that
glass.
far, but when I read it closely, I probably would.
Probably.
When I read it at all,
Maybe.
closely, maybe.
Might do.
Meanwhile, I just tossed it on the table.
Maybe.
I wouldn't say it's a fraud. This is great. They say he used to beat his wife. I'm not saying that.
Maybe
Just toss it
Melania.
out there.
Maybe Melania will read it first.
Talk about in like a lion and out like a lamb. Somebody left the primaries, the presidential race
Yes,
was
Mr.
a couple days ago.
Beto O'Rourke drops out of the presidential race.
And nobody knows. I mean, this is less of a deal. Remember when this guy got in? First of all, I want to salute Beto with the tomahawk flop. This guy started out as he's Bobby Kennedy.
He was a
he's
sweaty guy in the summer running around.
Remember the Vanity Fair? I was born the cover of Vanity Fair.
I was born to do this. That's what I was supposed to do. I was born to do this. That's why.
But he's standing there by that pickup truck.
Hey,
in the middle of nowhere.
I like pickup trucks. I owned one at one time. I like to drive pickup trucks. Thank you.
Yeah. He's standing there with the open door, the pickup truck, and a dusty trail behind him.
I'm sweaty.
I
Look
was
at me. I sweat.
born to do this. See, I think now Vanity Fair should do a second run where he's passed out drunk in the bed of the pickup.
In a very sweaty shirt.
Yeah, you look like some guy whose body was abused at a frat party. Just
It's out of my league. It's out of my
Something
league.
drawn on his forehead in Sharpie.
I should have realized I can't do this.
You were not born.
I was not born to do this.
Apparently.
I was born to marry a rich lady.
So once again, Beto O'Rourke, we give you the tomahawk flop salute.
Hey, that's racist.
Way to not go.
.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Yeah, if you want to know how news is presented now, I could find headlines in my aggregators, my news aggregators, like Google News and Drudge, stuff like that. It's aggregation of news stories that I go to. You can find two different types of headlines about the same event, depending on where it came from. I guess the president and his sons attended a UFC event in Madison Square Garden. So the people who were there who hate Trump, they put out all their stuff about how he was booed. And the people who love Trump, they put out the same stuff and said the crowd loved him. And so it sounds like a little bit of a mix, but it sounds to me like the yays are winning. One thing is for sure, though, that when I listen to this stuff, there's one thing is I don't know if they were booing or if they were applauding, but to me, I think it's the first time a president has ever entered a room to AC/DC's "Shook Me All Night Long."
That's right. I love AC/DC.
There's a lot of firsts going on here. I've never seen
Hell's
that.
Bells, Highway to Hell, all that's great.
All the hell songs.
All
huh?
the hell songs.
That's what we ought to hear.
Go to hell.
Let's
There
do
you
this.
go.
The research is in, and after careful calculation, it's called Georgia Stuff.
What's this segment about?
It's about the state of Georgia, things that are happening in, about, or around.
Oh, you mean country. It's a little country.
No, not the
No.
old Soviet country.
Are you sure?
I'm
Because it's called
positive.
Georgia Stuff, and I don't
But this is the state, one of the original 13 colonies, I'll have you know. But more than that I realize it's an embarrassment of Sounders because we're going to start off with WSB Sports Director, Jay Black.
One man to beat. He cuts behind him. 20. He's going to go. 5. Touchdown.
Georgia Bulldogs and sports with Jay Black.
Just to be clear, the country of Georgia does not have a very good college football team.
No, I believe that they are ranked nothing.
Yes.
They're actually ranked, they could not find a number on an infinite scale.
We do have most goats of former Soviet territories.
We all have something to brag about, that is sure, but there are different things. So, Jay Black, you were in Jacksonville.
I was.
Getting hammered.
I was not.
Drinking milk and water like never before.
Yes, just not the milk part because it was kind of hot when we got down there.
You've been getting some good audio for the last couple of years of these things, and
it's not hard.
I know, but I wonder, do you get any complaints from
no.
the official? Because they don't like the idea of being called the world's largest cocktail party and all that, and you go out and just find the drunkest people on both sides, and it's hilarious.
I do have some. I don't identify them by name, so we don't embarrass them on the air.
Everyone becomes an expert when you're drunk. It seems to me.
Oh yeah.
That was a good game, Georgia. It was
Absolutely.
a good, fun game to watch. Now, for Georgia, they've set themselves up to where basically they have to win the SEC championship to get to, they'll get into the playoffs but that's really the only way. And that's going to be tough because you got two really good teams up ahead of you. What do you think about the game on Saturday and going forward?
I like LSU, even though they are about a touchdown underdog as the number one team in the country to Alabama.
Yeah.
So that'll be...
That's because number one is an opinion right now.
Right.
We don't know until they play each other.
Yes. So that will be set up who's coming out of the West. For Georgia, they can afford to slip up and still win the division as long as they don't lose to Missouri this week. Then it gets kind of complicated. But to win the division, it's basically beat Missouri and then split with Auburn at Auburn or Texas A&M at home. The big picture, though, is win the rest of your games, win the SEC title, and then you should be able to continue playing.
But that's the only way in, right? They've got to beat LSU or Alabama in the SEC title game in order to get in there. And they certainly look good. So does LSU. This quarterback for LSU is Burrows. Is that his name?
Yes.
Apparently, he was sitting on the bench in a bunch in other places, and now. Talk about get ahead of your skis. I'm watching some kind of, he's going to be the next Tom Brady. He's not even out of college yet. It's just
let's
much.
Hold on there. But he might be the number one pick in the draft. I've seen some mock drafts where Joe Burrow is. And he could not start at Ohio State, left there, transferred to LSU. And that's people get frustrated with quarterbacks transferring all the time. This is why.
Yeah, he only got 4 years.
Yep.
You can't sit there and, these guys that think they're good, they want a paycheck from the NFL. And in order to get it, they got to start showing what they can do.
If Joe Burrow never left Ohio State, he might never get the chance to play, and now he might be a very rich man this time next year.
So it's fair. Yeah, I encourage mobility, and I encourage all of this stuff. I know people cling to this idea of amateur athletics, but outside of that guy not being able to make any money or figure out what his next move is going to be, it does not look like any sort of capitalism. No. It's everybody else is acting professional.
Yes.
The amateurs, we expect that the players have to act like amateurs, and I'm not in favor of that. Did you see this last night on Sunday Night Football? I find this to be hilarious that guys now look for this. Guys now will start inserting jokes into their introductions. So this
I saw the headline. But
this is the Ravens. This is the Ravens, and I think you only have 4 or 5 seconds to get your joke in. So I have to give it to this guy. I think he did it well.
Matthew Judon, body built by Taco Bell.
Body built by Taco Bell.
I'm going to assume he's not one of the little receivers.
No. I think he was one of the line. I can't remember. Was it defense? But this has got to be kind of scary for the NFL because if you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. So we started off with, you're just going to tell us what college you graduated from. Then some people started inserting their high school rather than the college. And now you're getting jokes. So once you open that up, how long before it ends with Epstein didn't kill himself?
Those introductions are not done live. The NBC guys at some point will say, all right, do it again this time. Yeah. Straight.
I thought about Sanu. They had him in a New England Patriots uniform. It's like, I don't think about that, but they have to, people who change after the trade deadline, hey, we need you in your new uniform to do it again.
Hey, Mohammed Sanu.
It was great. We have one more reason to hear Al Michaels call out Mohammed Sanu.
Mohammed Sanu. That's the thing of this game. It's Brady's up.
I got to tell you, Al, what we're watching here is something we haven't seen in a long time.
Why did this kid come from? Magic Land?
Look at this guy. You know what's going on right now. You're looking at Bill Belichick trying to figure out this offense, and coaches all over the league getting tape for trying to find the next one.
I'm so happy about that, man. As a Bills fan, somebody has put on tape how to score on that damn defense.
Is it all Sanu's fault? He's playing with the Falcons, gets one win, and then he goes over to the Patriots, unfortunately.
I think he played
and
well.
And they get beat.
He was their best receiver last night.
I went to bed in the second. I turned off the TV in the second quarter because the Ravens jumped up to a big lead, and then they started fumbling the ball. Twice they give the ball to Brady in the red zone. And I thought, you know what? This is the thought I had. I'm getting sick and tired of watching football teams figure out a way to lose to the Patriots. So I just turned it off. And then it turned out that that was the last mistake they made, I guess, and did well. But we're not here to talk about the Patriots. No. Enough of that.
We're celebrating Georgia back on top against Florida.
Absolutely. So, all right, next week, where are we?
So it'll be Missouri. The Missouri Tigers come to Athens at 7 o'clock. They actually got ranked a few weeks ago and then proceeded to lose to Kentucky and Vanderbilt.
Okay, so they got into like 24 or something, and now they're...
Yes, and then they face-planted and now have 2 losses in the conference.
Well, got to take care of business. Thank you, Jay Black.
See you guys later.
There we go. Now we got to go back to Georgia stuff.
Okay.
Maybe I should have done that sounder second. Do you still have that sounder? Because I'm confused. Am I awake? Am I dreaming?
The research is in. And after careful calculation, it's called Georgia stuff.
Well, sometimes you think you're awake, and then you find out you're dreaming. You ever one of those nights where you wake up like 3 times, but you're actually still dreaming every time?
Absolutely.
Scary.
Scary as hell.
Scary.
I had a dream that happened. This was Saturday night going into Sunday morning.
Because you had that extra hour.
Right. And there was this dream where you were pointing at me to do a voice, and I wasn't paying attention. And you got frustrated, and I woke up like, this really happened. I woke up in a panic.
I'm glad to see I have that kind of power.
Work dreams, mate.
Even in my dream.
My goodness. Because remember Jared a few weeks ago told me he had one of these anxiety dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in it. And I'm trying to think, and this is no slight because it surprises me. I don't think I've had an anxiety dream that has you guys in it.
Right, it's always you trying to get into the station.
Yeah, get to the station.
Yeah.
Something's going to go wrong, and Pete's going to be mad at me.
That's because you don't have to worry about us.
Well, that's true. I guess when you're the king,
yeah.
Oh, you only have to worry about God at that point.
Right. And your court is very talented.
Dream about your subjects is what you're saying.
Yeah, why dream about leave it to the subjects to aspire in their dreams.
I've had the same. I told you I had a dream a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that was going to leave you behind.
When we first started, that we came in and it's like Eric's just going to do it by himself.
Yeah, because for people to understand, this show started in my basement as a podcast.
Yeah,
and English Nick used to drive all the way from the city to Roswell every day to help me out.
Sometimes carpooling with Oldham Fisher.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so you had this dream once we got to the big station, WSB, that you'd be, Eric's not using you anymore. Yeah, thanks for the help, but Eric's not using you anymore.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got in Georgia?
Okay, so Delta Airlines have restored same-sex love scenes to in-flight films. This is the movies Booksmart and Rocket Man.
Okay, so first of all, they have a third party. They outsource this. If you're going to have these movies on planes, you got to run them as regular movies. Now, I'll tell you this. Mm-hmm. I do not want to be sitting next to somebody and then notice that they're watching a nude scene or...
Right. They're watching wild things next to you.
Yeah, it's just weird and awkward.
A Lars von Trier movie.
But if you're going to have... the guy next to me is watching Antichrist.
Oh, God.
Willem Dafoe.
Hey, here's a real good part coming up with a cinder block.
Yeah, you're going to love this. Here's something to scar your brain. Look it up.
Nymphomaniac 1 and 2 is next.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I think it's weird. Look, I have this idea about the reason that all of this stuff is available on planes, movies. They always want you to, if you're on a 45-minute flight, they have a cocktail thing that comes by. So there are plenty of 45-minute spans of my life where I didn't drink ginger ale. But for some reason,
Actually, I've flown to Florida where they did not do a drink club.
Right.
Because it was kind of turbulent. And
they do it because of the turbulence. But if the turbulence wasn't there, they'd do it. And the reason they have all this stuff is to make you forget that you are in a toothpaste tube at 30,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, that weighs way more than it should be able to fly.
Yeah, you've got like basically, there's enough, if you're on a big enough flight, there's like whole African villages full of people flying at 30,000 feet. And you don't want to remember this.
It's horrifying. If you really think about what's going on.
Absolutely.
It should not be happening.
So instead, you say, could I have a tomato juice?
Yeah, and make sure you keep those gay scenes in Rocket Man. I want to enjoy myself. So it's got to be all or nothing, right? I mean, either you show they're doing the third party thing. why do you have to watch movies? I understand if people are flying to Australia or something, you want to kill the time. But if you're just a domestic flight, even 4 hours on a plane, as long as things go smoothly, goes by pretty quickly.
But you're just sitting there.
Yeah, so what? You're not. You know what? You're not just sitting there. You're sitting in a chair at 30,000 feet in the air. Think of was it Wonder Woman with the Super Friends? They would show her plane as an invisible. It had an outline. And I worked with a comedian once who said, if you think about it, we think that makes sense because we see the outline of the invisible plane. But in real life, people would just look up and see Wonder Woman sitting down, going 500 miles per hour in the air. Nothing. And that's kind of what you're doing in a chair. You're just sitting in a chair at 30,000 feet. You shouldn't get tired or bored of that. It's pretty exciting. All right, so the next Georgia stuff story, I'm going to jump in here, English.
What's your
We
city?
have a lot of time here. It's my city.
Yeah.
So nothing can be done. This is AJC story. Roswell warns of spoofed city government number. Now, I don't understand. City of Roswell says someone's calling people appearing to be coming from a city government phone number asking about voting. Now, Roswell said on Facebook on Wednesday that 770-641-3700 is not in use by the city. Spoofers use technology to make it look like they are calling from that number when they are actually not. Now, that sentence does not make any sense to me. What's really going on here is it's a number. Who cares about the number? It's not affiliated with the city, but I guess it says it is. And they say that there's nothing they can do about that. But I have to say this. I still don't understand this sentence in the AJC story, our sister publication. Spoofers use technology. So for the setup sentence says, Roswell says, it's not in use by the city. But spoofers use technology to make it look like they're calling from that number.
It's a dead number that they don't use anymore, but was associated at one time with the city.
Yeah.
And when you put them...
I didn't get that out of the AJC story.
I'm familiar with the software.
Okay, I know, because in the break, when I was saying, how do you do this, my phone rang, and it said Autumn Pritz. And I answered it. I'm sorry. My thing still says Pritz. I apologize.
That's all right.
Autumn Fisher. And so my thing, I look at it. Oh, Autumn's calling me. I answer it. And Tim Andrews says very, very vulgar, rude, awful things to me. And he said, there's just an app that you can spoof.
There's a bunch of different apps. You can spoof the number. You can put in a fake caller ID.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's dangerous.
But in this case, I just put that it was coming from her number, so it would show up.
But I
on
mean,
your
you
phone.
could do that from anyone's number and then say horrible things, and people will say, "Oh, it was you." I'm telling you, there's no reality left in this world. Might as well just drink a lot and go off to vacation fantasy land.
Going crazy.
You're in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Hour 2 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I don't know why, because of the monitors, the sound is down, but I see 8 different stations. And I don't know why I'm so fascinated with this Kelly Clarkson show. So she comes out every morning and she starts out with a song. She's singing a song.
Oh, she's a singer.
Yeah, maybe it makes sense.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like, how many great songs? You get 5 days a week. What if this thing runs 10 years, which it won't? I don't think it's going to run 10 months. And I like her, but I just don't think it's a good idea.
I don't think her
show.
interviews are very comfortable.
Well, they're not, because she's not a natural at it. But and it's not her fault. The show is completely run by consultants. Hey, do a cooking segment. Let me say something to young people that one day may get TV jobs. The moment somebody tells you on your own show, do a cooking segment, that means they don't believe in your ability to entertain.
Filler.
So either fire them or fire yourself, because it's just filler. And but anyway, I like her. I just think it was a bad idea. But she opens up with the song, and then she does Q&A with the audience. Again, 5 days a week. How many damn questions can you have for Kelly Clarkson? Hey, Kelly, when do you think England will get into that? You think they'll work that out with Brexit?
Probably. Next question.
How many possible questions are there for Kelly Clarkson
believe me, Eric.
About her life, her music, and the show that's been around now for 2 weeks? I mean, yeah. Oh, Alan Hunt. That's
Alan.
We don't do that anymore. It's 2019 out.
Wow.
Turn around and face the wall. That's what they used to make me do in first grade. All right, turn back around, because I need you to do this. Let's do this.
More headlines for Monday, November 4th.
Also, the song. Do something freaky, like being for the benefit of Mr. Kite or something like that.
Ooh, yeah. Boris the Spider.
Yeah, enough with the titanium. What's that one? I am titanium or whatever everybody sings.
I don't know that one.
I am. It was a huge song.
Titanium?
You don't know it.
I don't know any huge songs. What? It's not. It was a big hit.
I am a Titan?
No, I'm made of titanium or something like that. I went.
Got the Eye of the Tiger, that Katy Perry song?
No.
David Guetta, Titanium, featuring Sia.
He is a DJ.
Is that it? Yeah. Is that a DJ? Oh, he's a DJ?
Alan's up on it.
All right. Well, I saw when my youngest was still in high school, he had a little band, and they performed in a talent contest that they had a couple of years.
Yeah.
And they won. So, in case you were wondering.
All right.
So they did win. The band broke up, though. They couldn't get along. One of the guy's girlfriends just wouldn't butt out. But anyway.
That happens a lot.
It's always a Yoko.
So one year, one of the students sang that song, Titanium or whatever. The problem is, you really got to be able to hit the notes if you're going to proclaim something from the stage like, I am titanium. I don't know. I don't know if that's it or not, but it was a big enough hit that high school
from
girl.
2012, Sia, that's right around that area.
Okay.
She's that lady who doesn't show you her face.
Yeah, it turned out she was like 57 or something. I don't know how.
Yeah,
she
wrote
like
a bunch
63.
of hits.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this song.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I never knew she was saying that.
Yeah, I am titanium. But
I wish I'm an alien.
Me too.
That's why I had my face.
I don't like songs like that. You know why? I don't like pump you up, make you feel good songs. No, it's not the music. I don't like the I don't like declarative art. I realize this. I've often told people that, when it comes to just like painting, right? Great works of art. In my mind, I can tell you the one that I would hate the most. Like I invented it in my mind to cover all the art that I would hate. And it's declarative art, right? Whether it's about the artist or about the world. So to me, the kind of art that I hate the most would be a painting of the earth surrounded by a bunch of machine guns or something. I was like, all right, give me a little room to think here. Why even paint this? Why don't you just put a sentence up there, and I'll just read it and get your intention. There's no mystery. There's no anything. And the other ones I don't like are the declarative. That's why I can't stand this new kind of rap, whatever. It's all, and I'm this, and I'm, and that's one thing. The guy who's doing it's got a hit, so he's got something going on. The people listening to it who are applying it to their own lives have nothing going on. I'm this, and you don't know, and it's just like so much of it. I'm exposed to it during sporting events.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
Just like everything is like, this is how you're going to introduce Freddie Freeman to me on the commercial? I'm a winner, and I'm a winner, and I win, and winning is the thing because it's me, and you don't know because I'm me, and I'm great. And I'm, jeez.
Everything's a competition.
It's horrible. I mean, it's like self-help music.
Yeah.
How often does these young people have to be told how powerful they are or how...
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
No matter who you are, you're wonderful. I'm here to tell you that's not true. No matter who you are, you're wonderful.
Katy Perry said I was a firework.
Yeah, she also told that to every serial killer who ever listened to that song.
My body built by Dr. Bombay's scones.
The declarative stuff is just ridiculous to me. I'm this and I'm that. You don't know.
Got the eye of the tiger.
Yeah, I don't like those. And I never liked the old Eye of the Tiger. I never liked it then.
They're just proud of what they've done.
What are you proud of?
They're proud. They're putting it out there.
This whole idea that, you don't know. Of course I don't know you. How would I know you?
We were raised.
7 billion people on the planet.
We were raised on slogans like "Just do it."
Yeah.
And no fear.
Yeah, but that's like, that could apply. That's like, what that is? That's an aspiration.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Rogers saying like, you're special.
Well, that's a different thing. You can
There's
be.
no one like you.
Hold on. Let's separate some things here. Mr. Rogers is talking to 7-year-olds.
Shush, Mr. Rogers.
It's nothing wrong with telling a 7-year-old that they're special, and it's a good.
I think you're saying that there's something wrong with that.
No,
you don't
I'm
want
not.
little kids, to feel empowered that they can be whatever they want. You want people to stay quiet. You know what? Don't be the nail that sticks up because you'll get hammered.
You know what? I would. I completely agree with that with my kids. I would tell them. As a matter of fact, this is every morning I would wake them up with a cold pail of water to the face.
Smart.
Say, that's the world.
Yeah, like banging a trash can.
That's the world. No, of course, with children, you have kid gloves. That's why those gloves have the word kid in front of them, because you don't speak to kids the way you speak to adults.
I'm adulting, and I told my boss to take off his kid gloves because I'm adulting today.
It's a good point you make, actually, because it really is. In order to get hits and stuff, you have to speak to 23-year-olds like they're 7.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the world's rough, man.
It's in reverse now.
You want to make something in this world, you got to go do it. And you could do everything right and still fail. That's the world, but then you got to get back up. You got to do it again. That's the world. Doesn't matter how special you are. There aren't that many of us that are special.
Well,
I don't mean it that way. But there aren't many of us that are unique thinkers. I'll leave it up to you as to whether or not I put myself in that group.
I know you don't.
Did we start already? I think we already did.
I think we did something. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren's $52 trillion Medicare plan will hit middle class, says healthcare expert.
Oh, you think? First of all, she put it out there as it's $20.5 trillion, this Medicare for all, which, by the way, if you're one of the 170 million people in America that currently has insurance, it's gone. It's gone. That's taken away. You don't have that option. Everybody's in the government plan. And then she goes, oh, we're going to find the money through waste and abuse. First of all, she said it was 20.5. Then you've got people saying, no, it's 35, then 40, and then, $52 trillion. And tell me, how is it that in this country, you don't come up with a proposal like that and people just go, okay, get your paperwork together. You're out of the race. $52 trillion.
It can be done.
Can it be? And I know I actually wrote, this is like the beginning of a play. It's not a play. It's just a little dialogue that I thought about this morning, okay? There's 2 characters. There's voters. That's character number 1. Okay. And the other character is Elizabeth Warren. So voters, this is their dialogue. Where are you going to find the $20 to $50 billion to fund your Medicare for All plan? Warren, I think it's time to think big. Are you a small thinker? I'm not. I'm a big thinker. That's always her answer is, you got to think big. Is there some sort of equation where if you think big enough, it actually begins to pay for itself? I don't know that algorithm, but if you think big enough.
Yeah, you think big.
Don't think small.
Yeah. You still have to pay
Come
for it.
with me and think big.
Here's,
like big numbers, like trillion.
That's why she
multiples
so
of
hard.
trillion.
What I noticed about Elizabeth Warren, this is something I can teach people. It's like a tell. Supposedly people touch their nose if they're lying. Like and you really do it. You do it if you think about it. If you're ever fibbing or something, you tend to touch your nose. And people who understand human behaviors, they know that. What I've noticed is people in Silicon Valley do this a lot. Whenever somebody says so, like they're answering a question and the first word is so, that means they are resetting themselves so that they can read off their brain the thing that they want to repeat to you. And man, she does that a lot. This is from the last debate.
Senator Warren, will you acknowledge what the senator just said about taxes going up?
So my view on this and what I have committed to is costs will go down for hardworking middle-class families.
A non-answer that starts with so. So is the reset. It's the reset button for start going into the script that you already had.
So my view on this and what I have committed to.
This has nothing to do with the question that was asked.
So my view on this and what I have committed to is costs will go down for hardworking middle-class families. So
it's like if you see anybody from Silicon Valley, any big CEO, and they're new and they're the latest disruptor of some kind of thing, and they're asked any question, 90% of them will start their sentence with so, because they've memorized what they're going to say about their company and what it's going to do. And there's something about saying so.
Takes them back to that
mentally
dialogue.
Allows you to reset your brain. And that's all Warren does. Hey, so how are you going to pay for it?
So,
well, it's got 50. Is it 20.5 trillion or is it 53?
So,
just like an answer to the, are we all going to lose our insurance that we have now?
So,
yeah. So, let me get back on script here.
So,
you got no filter.
He throws in the.
He never does stuff like that.
This guy, Trump is the opposite.
Yeah.
Never resets the brain.
It's going to cost a lot of money. And I don't know where we're going to get it, but we'll find it.
Yep. People are like, yeah, he will find it. Yeah.
Remember when Republicans were for cutting budgets and
wow, the good old days.
Yeah, just entitlements. He ran from the very beginning. I'm going to shake everything up, but not entitlements.
No.
You know that thing that's killing the government? You know that thing? You know, they come up with a new, here's the budget for the year. Do people realize that 70 to 75% of the budget is untouchable? It's entitlements. Everything we argue about is like the other 27, 28% because we're just on automatic drive.
It's built in, right?
It's built in with everything because they're entitlements. Once it's right there in the word. You're entitled.
You get it.
You're entitled to it. Well, a lot of people don't. And also, Warren, if you look at her,
Yeah.
your rhetoric is just absolutely absurd.
So you say it's absurd?
Yeah.
A lot of people believe in it. So there you go.
So,
Hey, Elizabeth Warren, do you have any ability to pay for any of these ideas?
So we're going to do a lot here and a lot there, and we'll find the money.
We'll find $50.2 trillion.
No problem.
So,
talking about things we can't talk about on the air.
Yeah.
One day this microphone's going to be open. You'd think I'd know better.
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows I've paid the price in the past. Alan back there, I'll get him angry. It'll go right. Speaking about the Elizabeth Warren thing, there's an editorial in the Wall Street Journal written by ex-Senator, what's his name? Phil from Texas, Phil Graham. And there's a point that, when we talk about income inequality, the numbers that are being used are not real. They're not real. They use the worst case numbers. I don't want to bore people by reading, but I'm going to read right from this opinion thing. So the average bottom quintile household earns only $4,908 a year. So that would be what they earn a year. While the average top quintile earns $295,904. That's 60 times as much on average. But using official government data sources on taxes and all transfer payments to compute net income produces a more complete picture. In other words, the numbers that you're getting they don't build in all the redistribution money that was given from the government to the family to begin with. If you do that, the family that only makes $4,908, they receive $45,389 in government transfers. So at the end of the year, they are actually a household that has made $50,901 in that year. And Elizabeth Warren is running around saying all the rich people are keeping the money and we need to redistribute this money, when in reality, the redistribution that's already going on with all of the programs that we have brings a $5,000 a year household to middle class, to $50,000. But in all the stuff that you hear about, the income inequality, they don't account for that. So they give you the 60 times as much, $4,908 as opposed to $295,000. They're not real numbers. And over the weekend, I was talking to my sons about this. It's just the politicians that we have, and maybe they've always been this way, and maybe that's why the founders put them in boxes, basically, so they couldn't harm us all that much. Do you want to solve problems? Because if you really want to solve a problem, you have to start out with real data, not opinions. And you can't fudge the numbers to win the next election. And that's all that's going on, really, from both sides now. We've never had such bad leadership. Well, I'm 55. And I ignored the world for 10 years. So in the last 45 years, I can tell you, we have not had worst political leaders. These Democrats are not interested in you if you're poor, except to get you out to vote. But you know what? They're not going to solve your problem because they need your vote again in 4 years. And if you're a millionaire, well, then they have to vilify you. So what's behind me now is the Hoda and Jen show.
Ooh.
Hoda and Jen. Aren't they on Star? No. The Hoda and Jen TV show. So they have plastic surgeons on.
Yeah.
I guess they're talking about botched plastic surgery. But the funny thing is these are plastic surgeons that look to be upper 50s, early 60s. And my question is, who does their face work? They can't do it themselves. So you have to find somebody else to do your face work. And then there's a lot of pressure. Because I say, I don't trust you as a plastic surgeon if I can see and know for a fact that your face doesn't look great. A good plastic surgeon to me
needs to be perfect.
I don't notice. What good is face plastic surgery if the first thing I notice about you is
plastic surgery? You've
done something to your face. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it unless you can actually look younger and no one has any idea.
Which 9 times out of 10 I don't think happens.
10 times out of 10. People have a weird dysmorphia thing going on, and plastic surgeons are making a lot of money. That's all that's happening here. Because people focus in on one thing that they think is the worst thing about themselves. Forget the fact that no one else may have ever noticed that thing. I know people who are obsessed with one flaw that they see. And I don't say this to them, but there are 2 or 3 other flaws that stand out way more than that. But they don't see it. They just see this thing. Like maybe you're getting that turkey neck or something like that.
Yeah.
And you want to say, hey, man, if you're going to, it's a lot cheaper. You might want to pin back those ears. But they're not focused on the ears. They're focused on, and it's like, and they see it as really, really terrible. And then we've decided now that aging is wrong. We should make it against the law.
Aging?
The concept of aging seems to, it's very strange.
But older people always look better without surgery than older people with surgery.
You don't even look good. It's just vanity. You're pleasing yourself, but you're not fooling anyone. So it's very strange.
People move the goalpost in a weird direction, right? They keep their goalpost as too early than for their age. Right. If you want to have a little bit of something done, all right, but as you age, you have to move the goalpost further back. Mm-hmm. You can't say like, well, I want to look the way I looked when I was 25.
Right.
And you're 56.
Yeah, and I think it's sick. Not sick, but just weird if you're 72 and you're like, I just want to look more like I'm 65. Just accept it. You're 72. I think it's happened to everyone else in the world. Why should it happen to you? I think it's weird when you see these actresses. And or you see someone like Cher. I don't even know if she can move her mouth anymore.
Yeah, Meg Ryan was a great example of just plastic surgery gone bad.
I mean, hers just gone bad. Someone like Cher, maybe you couldn't do any better, which is just basically her face is a mask that is frozen in time. It doesn't move.
She was in that movie, The Mask.
That's right. Maybe, perhaps she's using some of the special effects people from Mask.
Maybe. They're getting older. They're not as,
I got to say this. Her mask looks better than that kid's. So I guess she's doing all right. Oh, we got a new segment. We messed with this last week. What was I calling it last week? Oh, come on.
Ah, come on.
And then I remembered that ESPN does come on, man, and I don't want to be that close to it. So I've now changed the name of this segment to Give Me a Break. And we haven't had time for a sounder, but I tell you this. I want it to sound like a 60s game show type of thing. I think our sounders are too serious,
And now it's time for Give Me a Break.
Here we go. Now you got this build up. What's going on here? Come on, just get to it for heaven's sake.
You're showing the contestants.
It's time.
For Give Me a Break.
Woo! Where Eric Von Haessler listens to the headlines of the day and says,
Give me a break.
That's right.
Recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What do you got for me?
I got your buddy Pete Buttigieg.
Yay!
Buttigieg.
Autumn likes him only because he's gay. She knows nothing about his politics.
Well, this story...
And his name's Pete.
His name's Pete. She likes the name Pete. She has a son named Pete.
This story in the Los Angeles Times says he has a problem with black voters. He needs to fix it or wind up back in South Bend.
Okay, this is
what you've said forever.
I know, but I'm saying give me a break to the Los Angeles Times because they will not look at the big reason... Like I say, a good part of the reason may be a lack of familiarity with the 37-year-old mayor of a mid-sized city. No. So much depends on a sense of knowing you, Buttigieg told reporters. He knows. CNN knows. Uh-huh. Everyone knows the problem that Pete Buttigieg is having with African-American voters. But there's a problem for the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world.
Can't say it.
Intersectionality says that anyone who is oppressed in any area cannot themselves be prejudiced against other people. And of course, that's not true. We're all flawed. You get this thing. Have you noticed that, for years, transvestites, transsexuals, trans everything were treated as nothing more than jokes, right? Now they get respect, which is fine. Everyone should get respect. But when you read about trans everything, it's not just equality or respect. They're saint-like. Everyone's saint-like. And of course, that's not true. Everybody is a human being. And the fact of the matter, I will say this again, and I'm not going to go too far. I'm waiting for the CNN's. Fox is not going to go anywhere near it because they can't touch that. Or MSNBC. These are people who are accusing people who went for Bernie of being misogynist because they wouldn't go to Elizabeth Warren. Meanwhile, AOC endorsed Bernie. And nobody, so they will call out people and say, well, even though you're a Democrat, you could be a misogynist or this thing or another. My experience, anecdotal, knowing people, talking to people, my opinion from my experience, anecdotal, knowing people, talking to people, is that it is as difficult to come out of the closet as an African American today as it probably was as a white person in 1975. And nobody wants to dig deep. And there's a lot here. I've noticed that the CNNs of the world, just the press, will always tell you about the religious affiliation of Southern MAGA people, right? If somebody's involved in politics and they're a preacher or they're an evangelical, that is a large part of the story. You lead with that context. Dear reader, this is a Southern white male who's an evangelical. Meaning, I got to tell you this because before you hear about their views, this informs their views. I believe that there is not a more absolute, true Christian base in this family, in this country, I think of a country as a family, in this country than African-American Southern voters. But it's stripped away from their identity. It's never really the way that evangelicals, I would say the two most purely Christian following types of people in this country are white Southern Christians and black Southern Christians. But in the stories, I mean, you would barely know that MLK was a preacher. And he wasn't one of these phony baloney preachers like Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, who just get the name Reverend put in front of them. I mean, they speak in churches sometimes. MLK became known for his oratory over the great sermons that he wrote. He was a brilliant writer of sermons, and this is what brought him to the attention. He was deep. Now, you can go to there's a few different black magazines around. All magazines are gone now. But when I was growing up, there was Essence, right? Jet, and one more.
Ebony.
I think it's Essence or Jet. One of them was around in the 50s. And MLK, before he was known to the whole world as MLK, did an advice column. And you can go back and find this on the internet, and it's real. It's not photoshopped. And it's like 1957, and a black kid is asking for advice from MLK. He thinks he has gay tendencies. And let me tell you something. MLK does not give a 2019 Democrat primary response. He basically said, you know what he gives? He gives the gay conversion therapy response without the actual therapy. You know, you have to work. There's nothing in this about acceptance. Now, my point again is not to denigrate MLK. It goes back to what I'm always saying. These are people. These are human beings. And when the reporters decide that some are saints and some are very human and flawed, right there you see the editorial bias. Everyone in politics is human, and everyone who's human is flawed, and I'm not even saying that that's necessarily a flaw, but have different opinions. Some are considered more open-minded than others, and this applies to everybody. So the reason that they will not get to why Buttigieg, he's an articulate candidate. He's probably the closest to Obama. African Americans in the South are clinging to Biden. They're clinging to an old white guy. So you can't tell me that it's because Buttigieg is white or anything along those lines. They believe that wink, wink, nod, nod, Biden's on the same page. Maybe people listening to me right now will be angry. Reporting the real news is difficult. But if white culture had to come to terms with their gay children, and that was very open and in the press, and, parents who have suddenly accepted the gayness of their children are now leading the parade and all of that. This has not happened in the African American community. Now, I'm not talking about everybody. There are people who have different thoughts, every skin color, every culture. But if you just take averages, is homosexuality accepted by more in this culture? It's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk. And the CNNs and the MSNBCs don't know how to report on this because they don't want to ruin their own narrative. Because if you've ever been oppressed, it becomes impossible to be prejudiced against other people. And again, you come back to the reality is we're all prejudiced. All right? Because that has not just to do with race. Anytime you see somebody, what they look like, what they're wearing, how they're speaking, how their manners are, and you come up with a judgment on the spot, not knowing that person, you are prejudiced. Break the word down. You're prejudging somebody. And prejudice is not held exclusively by any oppressive class. All human beings have notions and ideas, So if somebody is really effeminate, in your mind you think, oh, he's gay. Now, you can either be cool with that or be stupid about that. That's up to you. But the moment that you've never asked the person whether or not they're gay, and just because of the way they're speaking, you assume they are, you're prejudging. And you're prejudiced. And it applies to everybody. Many people think all cops are racist. That's prejudiced. You're prejudging human beings you haven't talked to individually. So I say, give me a break. Don't give me the story about how Buttigieg has to do better with African Americans and give me 17 reasons that are not the reason that he's having problems with the African American community. Hey, you know what? Go after me if you want. I just told you the truth. That's right. It's a very special day. I've ignored it long enough.
Whose birthday is it, Eric?
It's Tim Andrews' birthday.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Happy birthday.
49.
Oh, 49 years young.
Gross.
That's disgusting.
I know.
Completely.
God, I never think of Tim as being younger than me.
Yeah, you always
weird.
Because he's such a
curmudgeon.
He's so mature.
Yeah.
He's always
got 3 years on me.
He's always been a wise soul.
Really? I'm older than you?
No, you're younger than me.
Oh.
I'm 52.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what he was saying.
No. Well, Nick is far more youthful.
He's got 3 more years to live before he gets to where I am.
Nick is far more youthful than I am.
Well, yeah, and he's the what do they call it? Now that Dick Clark is gone?
Yeah,
he's
the world's oldest teenager.
Yeah, he has like energy. You don't have the energy he does.
No, hell
what
no.
What are you, 52?
Yeah.
This guy's got energy.
I go all the time. I never
he's
stop.
He's the guy that Elton John's singing about in Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Oh yeah.
He grew up on a farm. He's back to the and so he worked so hard as a kid.
That farm muscle lasts a lifetime.
He did more work before he went to school when he was a kid
Sometimes.
than most people did. I mean, you're constantly on a farm working and
chopping wood, doing the vegetable garden, running up the sheep, milking the cows.
Parents are using you as
driving
labor.
the tractors.
You know what's going on? You should sue your
Free
parents.
labor, yeah.
Yeah. How much were you paid for all of this?
Not a lot.
I didn't think so. But you know what you got?
A couple shillings.
You got. How did this turn into English Nick? It's not your birthday. We're celebrating Tim Andrews.
He did a Nix-it.
Yes, I did. I exited Tim Andrews and went to English Nick.
Steady.
Well, thank you, Eric.
I'm calling for a election.
Happy birthday, Timmy.
Absolutely. It's
Happy birthday,
a
mate.
wonderful day. Now, when did you celebrate? Did you celebrate yesterday or is it going to be tonight?
Met with my family and friends and my wife and I. We all went out to Jim and Nick's in Smyrna and had a nice.
So today's just put your feet up. You really had the.
Oh no, going out to dinner tonight too.
But just with your wife, probably. Right?
Just the wife.
Yeah. Okay. So the big family thing.
Yeah.
So you didn't get to see much football.
No, we all had our phones. Yeah. We were checking.
Let me ask you something. You watch the Red Zone channel, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Like going to all these. Have you ever sometimes yell at refs for getting a call wrong and then realize, oh, they've changed the game we're watching?
Yes.
Like it's hard to follow 7 games at once. That's a ridiculous. Oh, that's the different game. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I like that "Give Me a Break" segment.
That was good, man.
I think we only got to one or two stories, but here's another one that we could have gotten to. Just the headline. It's just sometimes it just defies logic. Airbnb CEO says company is banning party houses after 5 people died in Halloween party shooting. The reason I'm saying "give me a break" is it's already banned. You're not allowed to be on Airbnb and say, yeah, I'm going to do a party house. Airbnb has never allowed this. As a matter of fact, before the people got shot, first of all, the owners were suspicious that they were going to go one night. It was Halloween night, and that was it. And they made them state over and over again that no parties. Then the owner calls before the shooting, hey, we're getting reports you have a lot of people over there. Is it a party? Oh, it's just like 8 or 9 people. It's not a party. So why are they calling? Because they know rules have already been broken.
Yep.
And then after that call, the shooting happens. and people die. So it's just weird where corporations just put out things that whatever they think will put out the fire. Airbnb CEO says company is banning party houses. They were never not banned. They were never allowed. It's ridiculous.
I have a rental cabin in Blue Ridge.
Yes, you do.
It's on Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
So
I could go for free if I wanted to.
But
right?
a year and a half ago, we get
Excuse
a call.
me, I could go for free.
Of course you could,
okay.
Eric. Yeah.
Thank you. Now that we have that taken care of.
I make so much money here, you can go for free.
Yeah.
So we get a call from one of the neighbors, and they're like, they're partying pretty hard over there.
So loud music.
Well, next day we get a call. One of these jokers has fallen off the balcony, off the deck.
Oh.
Had to get airlifted to hospital in
Now,
Nashville.
Do they have to sign something before they take over that you're not responsible for that
Well,
sort
here's
of
the
thing?
beautiful thing about Airbnb. You're insured up to $1 million.
Okay.
So, but once they realized that we knew they were partying hard, then all bets were off pretty much.
Yeah.
It all went away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, once they found out, because they knew they were in the wrong.
Yeah.
And these party houses, that this go on, where's it, is in Buckhead or something? You ever see these stories about, B-list actors or something?
Oh,
or
sure.
Guys from sitcoms in the 80s and 90s, and they'll have parties in these mansions. And other people live in these neighborhoods, and all of a sudden there's like 1,000 cars.
Cars everywhere,
You're trying to get,
puking people.
How in the world do you...
There's an Uber line.
How are you not self-aware enough to go, one of these neighbors is probably going to complain?
Yeah.
This is not standard procedure. It's just the thing.
Hey, man, fireworks are legal in Georgia. Shut up.
I almost got beat up by a neighbor over fireworks this July 4th.
This year?
Yeah.
Are you complaining that they were shooting them off?
No, we were, you go in to get these things. We've done it before. We're in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
You said it was relatively early, right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't because of sound. He said that some of the debris was hitting his house, which I don't know. But either way, just the way he approached me, it's just like,
hey,
all right, look, you know what? There are things that I will fight for. If I feel like that my family is in danger but over fireworks in the neighborhood, no. But I'll shut them down, buddy. You're a jerk. Everybody knows that. And you're the Grinch who stole July 4th. Okay, that's fine. That makes you feel good. But the guy approached me like, no shirt on.
Where do you live?
I mean, it's really something. It's like, as opposed to if stuff really was hitting his house, why would you go, hey, man, I know you're having fun over there, but I'm worried about a fire or something. But it's just like, he approached me as if before we went out to the cul-de-sac, I said to the kids, let's go try to set that guy's house on fire. In which case, you would be pretty upset about it.
Oh, man.
But I mean, it's funny.
Was he a big dude?
He's like not huge, but looked like he could have been in like the Ukraine military.
The fat muscle, like the muscle fat that's fused together.
Just like the guy would have.
Yeah, like the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Hey, little buddy.
That's
fireworks.
This is all muscle.
That's too pudgy. So
did he have an Audi belly button?
I did. It was night. It was dark. It was funny because it was like something from a movie, because there was all this smoke, and then he like emerged from the smoke.
Did he have an Audi belly button?
But I mean, for me, it's funny because I don't bother my neighbors at all. I'm very easy. The only thing you might get a funny smell coming from the backyard every once in a while, but for the most part, I just keep to myself. I don't bother people. If people do something that a little bit annoys me in the neighborhood, I never say anything. I don't care. I leave you alone. You leave me alone.
You're live and let live kind of guy.
I really, really am.
Yeah.
And so, but what's interesting is every once in a while I'll see this guy now, and he doesn't get the wave. Von Haessler is very quick with the wave, but. When he walked out of the it's like when he walked out of the smoke, it might as well have been like Eye of the Tiger or something. Bum, 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 bum.
Rising up
to bring justice. And I could have hey, it's illegal and blah blah blah. But
man.
what am I gonna do? And there are other people who are like, well, you just should have done it anyway. Oh, great! Now there's that tension with a neighbor over something I want to do twice a year. It's idiotic. Are these things legal or are they not legal?
Yeah.
They're legal, but a neighbor can complain and you can't do it. It's very strange.
I called to complain one time in
jerk.
DeKalb. No, it was 11. It was 11 o'clock at night.
Who cares?
And it wasn't a holiday.
Oh.
And they were just going off. And finally I called. I said, hey, what's the cutoff for fireworks? And the guy went,
He's heard it many times.
I'm like, all right, never mind.
It out.
I really did. I went, never mind.
Just get some earplugs and go to bed.
Like, I don't know. Is he a good guy? But whatever. I have this real thing. I'm really, really vain, I think, in some ways. And to me, it's enough punishment that guy can't be my friend. That's the way I look at the world. Let's do this.
Even more headlines for Monday, November 4th.
I'm sure he doesn't see it the same way.
No. You're looking for a new shirtless friend.
Yeah.
Come on, Eric. Come on. We'll
take our shirts off.
We'll go out in the field and launch them.
Take our shirts off.
That's just insane. Dude, I don't know.
I got me an outie belly button.
It's just, yeah.
That's right.
I can't see it. It's
launch
too dark. But I mean, what I'm talking about is the way that people approach other people.
Yeah.
If you walked up to me and said, look, I know it's July 4th. I know you're having fun, but
there's a bit of stuff coming over.
Yeah. Over here, maybe it might affect me. Then my natural response would be, well, I don't want to start your house on fire.
Or there could have been a dialogue where you're firing maybe in a different direction or something.
What am I doing? Yeah, he told me go the other way. What? We pointed at the house over there?
Yeah.
We've done this every year for 20 years, and no house has erupted in flames.
Shoot it at our neighbor's house, the one that's made out of straw.
So anyway, that's to me in my mind. I'm like, that guy doesn't get to be my buddy. Go ahead.
Let's go from Roswell to Johns Creek. Nearly 250 pounds of drugs collected at Johns Creek Police Drug Take-Back event. These are all prescription drugs that you can hand in and get rid of.
Oh, okay. So
a lot of prescription drugs.
Yeah, 250 pounds.
They're going to do it again in the spring.
This is for the opioid thing.
Such a success.
First of all, why would you need to do that? Okay, let me ask you a question.
The toilet.
Why wouldn't you just throw them away?
Flush them.
Why do you have to be part of a public event?
Because it makes people feel good, Eric. Doing the right thing.
Look, we have great support for this show from the cops and the entire metro Atlanta.
They're the best.
I meet them all the time. Wonderful people. One guy told me whenever he's going over the video stuff, I have to have those cameras on. He's like, 70% of the time I'm hearing your show in the background. So we have great support from the cops. That's just things like this. I just find they're just PR events. It just nothing gets done. It doesn't move the needle. It doesn't at all. And then it gets celebrated, and you get to pretend you've done something when you haven't done anything. In reality, from the very beginning, from a few years ago, when these stories were starting about people not getting rid of their prescription drugs, and then maybe the kids find them and then they get addicted. From the very beginning, it should have been about educating people to get rid of their drugs. And guess what? You have to understand you're not going to get everybody, and everybody isn't going to do it. Oh. You're looking to get, over 50% of people, and you have PSAs, and you let people know, and you get it out there. But these things, they make a big splash, but they don't do anything. It's like the gun buyback program. All right, let's say I bring 2 guns. I'll bet you I had 3 before I sold 2 back to you. How many people are actually, I had 7 guns. I'm getting rid of all of them. And I'm going to make a tidy... They're going to give me $25 a gun, so it's going to be well worth it.
Make a great loss.
I like that they call it a buyback, too. You didn't buy your gun from the government.
Yeah, but they're going to buy it from you.
Yeah.
And then they melt them down, and it has it's a big story. It's like the drug bust that are they laid all the drugs out on the table. That's not a story to me unless you're going to tell me that it's suddenly going to be really difficult to find pot.
Cocaine
in the Atlanta area. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just spinning your wheels. That's really so much of this is just spinning your wheels.
I mean, that drug bust.
Educate people.
That drug bust will make a dent for a day and a half, maybe.
Not even
in certain areas, wherever they got it from.
Maybe if your guy got or gal. Look, women can be drug dealers
on a
too.
small scale. If you have someone or people in your family that might be going digging through your medicine cabinet, then maybe it's a good idea to take them into someone and give them to the police or the government.
There's probably no good reason to leave drugs hanging around after, 3 months after their expiration date.
I know we have some here. We have some drugs.
Yeah, well, you're doing it wrong. You gotta flush them down the toilet.
I have some doggy drugs.
Well, you can't put them in the toilet because then they get in the water system.
Oh yeah, that one bottle's gonna poison.
Well,
everybody.
if we all did it, Eric,
we are all doing it. We've been all doing it forever.
That's why the frogs are gay.
Exactly.
Where do you think all the motor oil goes? Yeah, you think it all
people
goes?
Don't put that down the thing.
Yeah, no, you give it to somebody else. Where out of sight, out of mind.
I personally
they throw it into the thing. Have you seen the recycling stories that are being completely covered up? There's no market for recyclables, and because we used to sell them all to China or South Korea, South Asian, and they can't find any reason for it anymore. And now the green box or your thing, and there's a point at the very end where it all ends up in the same landfill. But again, it's like this buyback thing. We feel good separating our garbage. It's nothing is happening. There's no change. Again, it goes back to these politicians and relying on bad numbers so they can get do you want to solve problems, or do you just want to win this momentary argument or the next election? Because those are very different things.
They're just sticking a Band-Aid on it.
Well, they just don't trust people. You got to get it in people's minds. You need to get rid of these drugs. You can't have them laying around, especially if you got somebody 13, 14 years old, have friends coming over. Not a smart move. Hey, it's the middle of the summer. Everybody hangs out at your house with your kids while you're at work. And oh, by the way, I never throw away my opioids. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. I think people can be made to understand this. Oh, I know many people are probably grousing. Oh, why am I seeing Christmas commercials already? As if you didn't know they were coming.
There's already stuff in the stores.
Yeah, and it's always like a week before Halloween, really, is the first time you start seeing a little bit of stuff.
I want to say Home Depot had their Christmas stuff out at the beginning of October this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to jump on it. Yeah. And but I'm so into Christmas, and I'm writing the Christmas show right now, and I'm getting so into it. I just went on Amazon.com and ordered 3 snow globes. How much am I trying to reject society, our culture? I just want to check out.
Oh, man, if you were on social media right now, you'd be getting all these ads for Christmas stuff after ordering those globes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You can target me. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I'll send you some official Trump Christmas stockings for your mantle. It says "Make America Great Again" right there on the stocking.
Say Happy Holidays?
No, it says Happy Holidays. Give me a break. No, we say Merry Christmas.
It's good. So I got the snow globes. Now they have the snow globes. I feel like now this is living in the future. Now the snow globes, with the help of batteries, they can keep the snow going the whole time. I hate having to shake that damn thing up again for every repeat performance. Wouldn't it be great just to sit back with a nice cocktail?
A cognac?
A gummy or two? Just stare at that thing for an hour or so? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Look at the snow.
You know how I am. I like colors and things like that make me feel good inside. I'm going all in on Christmas again this year. You can have all your culture wars. I tell you, man. I'm a little bit angry at Google.
Google?
Yeah, they're Google Doodle. It's an old white guy.
Oh, my birthday?
Will Rogers.
That's why it's Tim Andrews' birthday.
How dare you?
Celebrating old white guys.
Hey, I'm only 49.
The Google Doodle was not Tim Andrews.
Oh, I thought it was.
It was Will Rogers, old white guy. Before we get to, I guess this is part of Doctrine. Actually, I can do it before or after, but this is a ridiculous. This could have been in Give Me a Break, the segment earlier, the award-winning segment.
Oh, it's groundbreaking.
We debuted earlier.
Yeah, great debut it was.
So, and listen, again, if you're going to listen to the show, if you can't handle nuance or whatever, and the world is black and white to you, just turn off your radio. I'm not interested in you. This is the most ridiculous story of the day. So there are some people who want to give a Purple Heart to the dog that went after the ISIS leader who got killed, and because he got wounded, and so the Department of Defense, I guess they would be in charge of these. The Pentagon says only human beings can get Purple Hearts. And now you've got a lot of people, civilians and military people, saying no. But this dog,
he's brave.
He's brave. But here's the thing. The dog is trained. You cannot be a hero. Now follow me. You cannot be a hero unless you know the danger to yourself before you do something. Like you say, well, there's a good chance that I'm going to die, but it's the right thing to do. So I do it. You have to be a human being with abstract thought to be able to come up, to be able to envision that something bad could happen, but you're going to go in anyway. And that's what's necessary. A dog is trained. God love him. But if you had trained that dog to kill children, that's what it would have done. Right? I mean, some people probably just said, oh, I can't believe.
No, the dog's just going on. It's going on instinct.
Well,
doesn't know what's happening.
Instinct put together with training. What's training a dog? You take their instinct and you mold it so that you get the actions that you want. Now, I'm not coming out against the dog.
No, you like the dog.
But it led to this banter on Fox Business News this morning. Uh-oh. Is it news or network? I always get it wrong. I think it's news. So this is between the two. After the story is presented, here's banter I never thought.
They waffle on about it.
This is Just the whole thing.
I don't know a police officer or military service member that would disagree with that idea to give that dog a Purple Heart.
I didn't think I'd ever hear those words on television. Everyone is in favor. The dog, you know what you give a dog for doing what they're trained to do?
What they always do.
A treat. A bone.
Purple chew toy.
Give him a purple chew toy.
Give him a purple chew heart.
And I know there are people in the audience going, oh, I can't believe he's denigrating that. No, listen, what I'm telling you, I almost, within the first week of being in Atlanta with the regular guys, and we hit this town, people had no idea what the hell was going on. And I got in trouble in the first week because I pointed out that the Bulldogs mascot, Uga, doesn't really care who wins the game because he's a dog.
You are wrong about that,
As a matter of fact, he doesn't even know it's a game. He doesn't know that it's football. He doesn't know the rules. Uga the dog doesn't think, on Friday night, homecoming tomorrow, that's going to be a good one.
No, Uga gets depressed on Mondays if the dogs lose.
Yeah, I don't think he does. But I mean, oh my goodness, in 1998, you would have thought. It's a good thing I wasn't canceled.
How dare these Yankees come down here and talk about Uga like that?
That's right. Like I was denigrating the dog. I'm just telling you, you're infusing your own. I mean, it's great that we have what I think is, boy, the military does a damn good job training these dogs to do things, and that's valuable.
They're very important.
And the dog, believe me, from the dog's point of view, there's nothing better you can do than give him one more bone than you would have normally. That's how the dog is thinking.
Just give him some pepperoni. That always goes over well with my dogs. They love that stuff.
They like that stuff? Is it good for them?
I don't care. It's gone in seconds, and they enjoy
Isn't
it.
everything gone in seconds?
Most of the time.
The dogs eat anything. I love the dog food commercials. Oh, it's a special blend. I don't think dogs need a special blend.
It has the items they crave.
Yeah.
Elk.
Their ancient wolf ancestry.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're out trying to eat a hubcap
or poop.
Yeah, my dog's licking up my cat's vomit. Yeah, that's his natural instincts.
That's fantastic. How do you have that mixture of the worlds?
Huh?
The cats and the dogs.
Oh, they got along fine.
Not since I saw the little cats riding on the back of ponies at a circus in the 70s. If I've seen such, it's just wrong, I tell you. It's just wrong.
Just wrong.
Did I did this already? All right, here we go.
It's the stories we just couldn't miss. It's the Doctrine Extra.
I'm Eric Von Haessler, body built by Taco Bell.
Matthew Judon, body built by Taco Bell.
Is he endorsed by Taco Bell?
That's the question. No, I don't think he is.
I think he's wanting to be.
That's why the NFL is going to step in and go, oh, okay.
No free tacos for
Hold
him.
on. Because what's the other thing? Because people are just trolling now, doing stuff. I know I opened that up. Nick,
this is the dog. There's a guy with one of those dogs.
Yeah. Well, the rescue dog was on Fox. So now, see, you have to explain this to me because you know the internet.
This is somebody that trains these types of dogs that were used in this military operation, and he's on there saying, describing the dog, talking to this. It was Fox Sunday yesterday.
But there's a meme out there about Epstein.
Oh, there is a meme going around where people make infographics on how to do things, and then when you get to the last item, it says Epstein didn't kill himself.
It's like how to bake the perfect peach pie.
Exactly.
Right? So, and then the bottom it says Epstein didn't kill himself.
Right.
And so this guy trolled Fox News. For the most part, he did the thing. I think it was on the Jesse Waters show.
Yeah, it was 98% real.
Yeah. He talked about it. And then at the end, he says, hey, I want to tell people, don't go out there and get one of these rescue dogs because you're emotional, because it takes a lot of work and you need to know what you're getting into before which makes sense. But then at the very end, he just tosses in this mean troll thing.
Buy a finished, trained, fully trained and finished dog from a professional, or just don't get one at all. And Epstein didn't kill himself.
Whoa.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that commentary. All right, Mike, maybe more on that later.
It makes me wish that one time I was on Fox News when I was here.
You'd have done something.
That I just would have been interesting, because you're a guest. And I'll never do those shoots again because you just don't. You are boxed into this thing.
There's like 4 different people talking at the same time.
No, this was just me and them, but it was a Saturday, so they got all kinds of time to kill. So it was like a 13-minute, or at least seemed like an hour to me. But they know what they want you to say. Like you're just filling in is all you're doing. They want, okay, that was about tax policy. Let's get this radio host and he'll tell us what his listeners are thinking. So I open up by saying, well, I'm not going to speak for my listeners. I didn't tell them I don't take phone calls. but I'm not going to speak for my listeners, but the guy kept coming back to it. So what do your listeners think?
Yeah.
Did you not hear me? And I wish in that situation, the guy that was hosting is African American, and he was so this is on Fox News, and he was part of a lawsuit at the time claiming that he had been discriminated against. And now that I think back to that boring segment where it's just blah, 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 I just would have been wonderful to say, hey, I have a question for you. How's that lawsuit going against Fox News? Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would have been end of the interview.
But I don't mean it. I don't mean it in a way like he was wrong or trying to spoof him or anything. I'm just saying that it would have been more interesting to have a conversation. These shows are so overproduced. You cannot do anything. I mean, these segment producers, oh my goodness. I mean, I will not use the term Nazi. I mean, to be a good television segment producer in news, these people they know what they want. You give it to them or you're never asked back, which is fine because they got to run a 24-hour thing.
Right.
But the one thing that's certainly out are new ideas that our anchors were not fully prepped for or real conversation. So in that, although I'm not a big fan of the trolling, in that, I have to say that's why we're talking about it. The fact that the guy's talking about these dogs is known to more people because he trolled with that Epstein line.
By a Finnish trained, fully trained and finished dog from a professional, or just don't get one at all. And Epstein didn't kill himself.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that commentary. All right, Mike, maybe more on that later.
And that's what I'm thinking. If that Taco Bell thing goes too far with the players introducing themselves, it's not going to be long before Aaron Rodgers, quarterback. Epstein didn't kill himself. All right, toss another story from the news bin at me, English Nick.
All right, this is from MTV News, Eric.
Yes.
Men get periods too, so always is removing the Venus symbol from their pads.
Men get periods too.
I just got over mine.
It lasted about 5 years.
It was just about moods. Tim Andrews
48 years long.
So the idea is, they're removing the Venus symbol, which would mean this is a product for women because it's for having your period.
Yeah.
So men get periods too. By the way, we'll debate the substance of this in a moment, but I do want you to know that in a related story, this song has been canceled.
Only women bleed. Only women bleed. Only women bleed.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I got to tell you
Every time I've seen Alice Cooper in the last 10 years, he's done that song.
I don't think anymore. I think that's got to be
man.
canceled.
Man.
Now, this is the thing. Can I ask a question here?
Ask it.
I don't want to be some old Archie Bunker.
I'm here to answer this question.
I know you probably went out and bought a whole bunch of Always.
Oh, come on.
But the questions are mine. The answers can be yours, but the questions are mine.
Okay.
You do, in fact, have to be born a woman to have a period, right?
Unless they can do
Hold on,
an operation.
I am asking the woman. Are you trying to speak for a woman?
No.
All right. We have an actual bona fide woman.
Oh.
Tim Andrews. No, Autumn Fisher.
Can you say bona fide when you're talking about a woman?
Bona fide.
Yeah.
Okay, just saying.
Can't say the other thing. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be brief. Don't give me one of your psychobabble
Relax,
rants.
Eric. Just ask me, and I'll give you the answer.
I ask you. Okay, I just say yes or no answer. You do have to be born a woman in order to have a period.
Yes.
Okay. To me, there's no other good question. There's no other good question. Who is offended? Why do people have to be so offended? Who would be offended if you were born a woman and you transitioned to a male? What, the whole world is just supposed to upend itself and present itself to you as you visualize the world to be? If you're a man if you're a woman who transitioned to a man, it just should be part of it that you're going to see things like this sometimes. And oh, by the way, it's no big deal. No one was oppressing you. No one was knowingly triggering you, and you aren't really triggered. Some professor or media person got into your head and told you that you need to learn to be triggered. Because believe me, no human being, when faced with, oh my God, they're saying only women get periods. That's outrageous.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Do we know that this was a response to people's, quote, outrage? Or was it just a group of people saying, again, that's not real. Social media saying something is not real.
You say it's not real, but it had an effect. So
yeah,
something
because
that's not real
you know who's making these decisions? People in a boardroom who are like, social media says we've got to do something about that.
No, it's also this idea, and it's if you ever read Atlas Shrugged, it's the beginning of that, where businesses are trying to get younger people to believe that we started this corporation to help people and the world, and we're on your side, and which is it's a complete distortion. You're an idiot if you expect morality out of corporations. That's not their job. Now, the human being, I expect corporations to run themselves within the laws that are created by the representatives of the people. And that's it. We create laws about corporations. But corporations now, rather than saying, hey, there's something to this capitalism, there's something to this profit motive, are instead trying to say, no, we understand what you're saying. We created this multi-trillion-dollar corporation so that we could save the planet. Is anybody buying that? And so it's like, oh, we just want young people to know, young millennial ladies and men and whatever. We just want people to know that this corporation is about making this a better world and having diversity and everyone's included. Guess what? When everyone's included, no one can ever be special. And do not think for a moment, ultimately, when you peel away the tinsel, that's what's behind it. Nobody is special. Everyone is the same. There are the only categories that matter are the ones that give us power, like race, sex, things like that. But men, women, they all have periods. And Always wants to be the first one out there to say, hey, we dig this new tune you're dancing to. We're with you, kids. But it's just ultimate manipulation. Because, again, you're right, Autumn. There's not a lot of people, but they respond to social media.
But social media is a place where people can just have faux outrage and find reasons to complain. And so I just don't believe it.
But you have to believe that this symbol will not be on the Always thing. And that's
I'm saying I believe that, but I think it's all manufactured, not real.
Of course
garbage.
it is. Of course it is. But corporations, because they're reading from a script that shouldn't be. Listen, corporations are made up of human beings. Those people can be moral, and they are quite often, and give to charities and open up libraries. The corporation itself, you should expect no humanity from the corporate thing. You should expect them to abide by the laws that are passed by the representatives of the people. And that's it. It's always PR nonsense when a corporation says, oh yeah, we started this thing so we could have more wells in Africa. No one did that. No one started a profit-based corporation for that reason. All right, that music tells me that we are out. As I've told you that Alice Cooper is now officially canceled. We're done on the radio, but we're going to go do the podcast 30. If you go to the WSB Facebook page or the Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page, there's a red box there. If you want to click it, you can watch us do the podcast 30. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, do it all over again. Everyone is invited back. Until then, continue on the journey. Don't piss off the genie. All right, the podcast 30 is on the air, sort of. Not really on the air. It's a podcast. Okay.
It's on.
Don't be stupid. Tim Andrews is here. English Nick is here.
Yep.
Autumn Fisher is here. If you're watching on Facebook, that's Jesse over there. Appears to have a nice little haircut. Yeah, looking good, Jesse. You're a handsome
Big
fella.
haircut.
Thank you.
You're coming back for that meningitis.
That's been over for like a month, Eric.
You were a little underway. Yeah, but sometimes when you get sick like that, after it's all over and all the pain's gone, you're like, well, that was a hell of a diet jump starter. Like,
you need to lose 5 pounds.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to lose a little bit of weight. Gives you a little extra start. So,
yeah, I want some meningitis.
Yeah, well, go get yourself some meningitis.
Come on.
I'll get you some.
How do you get it? You got to hang out in your ponds?
No, I'd probably change my kid's diaper.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's why men should know.
Hey.
Meningitis.
Yeah, it's all about the
meningitis.
Has your child decided he's your son? What if he doesn't want to be a boy?
Don't get
See,
me.
stuff like that's
He's
silly.
24 months. I'll get back to you.
Oh no, you got to start it now. You got to find out what he wants to be.
You need to encourage him.
Desmond and his Amazing started at 3.
So, what are we going to talk about here? Oh, Autumn is whenever like that.
I hate it when people are logical.
I turned to the Always thing. You just told me, English Nick, that they just added that Venus symbol
It
a
was
year and a half ago.
Yeah, and some
They probably did it on purpose just to wrangle.
Yeah, so they can get rid of it later.
And they
look how woke we are.
They got tweets from transgender people saying, "Look, I don't want to be reminded of being feminine when I was born with something I didn't want."
Oh, who cares? Whose problem is that?
So, yeah.
The Republicans? Who made that? Why were you born in the wrong body? Can we blame Republicans
Donald
somehow?
Trump.
Like, what is it? Why is the country that you live in responsible for making all of this right? It wasn't caused by the country you live in.
Yes, it was.
Was it caused? You were born in the wrong body.
Think about how this country was started.
Yeah.
It was stolen from the people who were here.
Yes.
And
they were peaceful.
It was run by
Yeah.
people of one color, white,
Yeah. How does
and
that have
one
to do
gender, male.
Well, no, there were females around. That's how they made
Was
more
it
people.
run? No one. There were no women in power. You had to
How
have
does
your
that-
dad or your husband say like, "It's cool. She can do something."
How does that affect what body you're born into?
It's saying that there are certain ways of being, and the rules were created by one type of person, and anything outside of that view
Yeah.
is wrong or weird.
But what about
and hold on, please.
Yes.
And if more than one gender, race, creed, color, whatever, was in charge of making the rules at the beginning, maybe this country would be a little bit more inclusive.
This is the
Thank
most.
you.
This is the
Thank
a little
you.
round of applause. There. It was just great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Knock off. Go have
Hold
some
on,
fun.
let me take a selfie of this applause. Hold on.
How do you think they handle it in Oman?
Well, I'm not in favor of that.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying.
Well, it's just
we're not
it's
the worst.
What are you saying, Tim?
What I'm saying, I'll tell you what I'm saying. This is the most inclusive, the most the most accepting, tolerating society, not only on Earth today, in the history of the world.
Well, it's
because
not good enough.
we actually live in a country where every single different kind of person bumps into each other. It's not that hard in Japan. You just don't have a whole lot of different cultures living in Japan, and if they're there, they're probably with some corporation or the military. So we are the most inclusive, most respectful of other cultures anywhere in the world, simply because we got to live with each other every single day. And we just look at one of those stock footage shots of everybody walking down Manhattan streets. Stop that picture and just start pointing out all the different races and cultures. And
what's kind of interesting? It's like the opposite side of the same coin. That someone who's like young and a millennial and really idealizes other cultures and other places as being like pure.
It's the Oriental mystique.
Right, the Oriental mystique.
Yeah.
Where the other side is like, I've never left the country and I never want to, and everywhere else is weird and wrong and upside down. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like neither people have really experienced the other being
I agree
in
with
the
that.
other cultures.
I agree with that. However, the second would be me. But
I know that you have a piece of that, but you don't think that going to, Italy would be this like weird, crazy people.
No,
what
I
are they
just don't
doing?
want. I just don't want to do it.
Right.
Anywhere.
I'm not talking about you. Take your
No, I'm saying no. Hold on.
Take
Hold on.
out of it.
Autumn, my response was not what you think it was. Okay, I wasn't personalizing it to me. I'm saying is it so happens that I end up being in the second category. My God, if I needed a psychiatrist, I would hire one. I don't want one for free. So I don't like in my wife's birthday. Is there something more fascinating happening over there? Good Lord. My wife, we're supposed to go to the Czech Republic next year on her big birthday. And I can't say no. I don't want to go to the Czech Republic. I don't have anything against the Czech Republic. I just don't want to go there because I like being an American in America. I don't want to be challenged for who I am. I don't want people to have opinions of what I must be like because of where I come from. And by the way, if I did it to them here, I'd be awful. If they do it, well, they're just open. Hey, you got to hold these Americans' feet to the fire. This is a responsibility. When in reality, it's every bit as awkward. And I just don't want to me, I feel like you can get abducted anywhere just for being an American. There are people who hate Americans everywhere.
I don't want to go anywhere.
I have friends who visit Vietnam. They say it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not visiting Vietnam. There's got to be one family over there like, they killed everybody in my family. I'm taking one of them.
But Eric, Eric, you have trouble being in a public park.
Yes.
So no wonder that you don't want to be in Vietnam. I mean, I don't want to go to Vietnam either. But
hang on.
Well, apparently, it's a wonderful place to go.
A lot of Americans go there.
A lot of Americans go there and love it. I mean, not even just ex-military people who go back for the experience.
They love us too.
I know, and they're highly capitalist. I think. I don't know, but to me, there have to be some holdouts. They're like, hey, those Yankees came over here.
Just don't go there on 10.
And I'm going to be the one guy.
Forget being in the park.
I'm going to be the example.
You have trouble being in the public restroom, Eric.
Well, that's because of my shy kidneys. Yeah, that's all that's about.
Kidney shies.
Would you go to like Scotland, for example?
For the bathroom?
Yeah, I don't.
No, for a trip.
I don't want to go anywhere. You know what? There's one place I would like to see. I would actually like to see the in Rome, the Colosseum. Yeah, I think that would be cool. If I could just blink my eyes, and be in different places and, spend the day walking around. It's the whole business of traveling.
You ever been to Abbey Road Studios?
No, I never
have.
You'd
love to go there. I know you would.
If I could blink my eyes. I don't want to fly over an ocean to get there.
I'll be flying next Monday if you want to come
with me.
I'll
you do it all the time.
I'll hold your hand.
You do it all the time.
But,
and I know it's safe.
This part of you surprises me.
Why? Because I'm otherwise so social?
No.
No, don't go too far.
No, just the sort of open mind that you carry for certain things, and then other things, it's just like the slammed door,
but I'm not
tight,
close.
Never open it.
But it's got nothing to do with the people. It's got.
I don't think it has to do with the people.
It's everything to do with it's just a pain to me. And also, I live in America. It's a huge country that has every kind of thing in it. And I'm never going to see. I still haven't seen the Grand Canyon. Why should I see the Czech? Why should I have the Czech Republic? Why should I see that before I've seen the Grand Canyon?
You've never seen the Grand Canyon
on TV?
Because you can write a check there.
What?
You can write a check in the Czech Republic.
Oh, yeah. Is that where checks come from?
Yeah.
What were you saying on them?
You can't see everything that's in the world in the United States.
No, but we do have ancient culture. It's just that it's Native American.
Well,
I mean,
you could see that, or you could see ancient cultures from China.
Yeah.
Japan.
I have a friend.
You go there.
Rome.
A friend lived in China, and he took a wonderful photo.
The Terracotta Army?
Of the wall. And I have it hanging in my office as we speak.
The wall of China?
That's all I need. I know, it's a big
That's the only thing to see in China? It's just the wall?
No, it's a lot to see. Look, I have friends who
brick and mortar in it.
One of our friends, they were born in China and were able to leave. But their son is same age as my youngest, and they have they're not in a dorm, they're in a building off of the campus, but they're in the same building together. They've known each other since they were like 2 or 3 years old, and the parents are the most capitalist people you can imagine because they escaped China, and but there's still this thing of he once every 2 years he goes home to China, and because they have family there, it's genuine. It's the parents grew up there. But he's always like, after like 2 days, it's just like another. I just want to get back home. It's just it's another.
The kid or the dad?
The kids.
Oh, okay.
The kids. The mom cannot stand the Chinese government. She's fantastic to talk to. She tells me about what she was taught when she was 5 years old in kindergarten. They would pretend that all the children in America were starving, and they would do drives and charity stuff and box up foods and stuff that they were told were going to be sent to starving Americans because their government doesn't work over there like our government works. She also told me that when she was 6 years old in school, they have a map of China on the wall, and they had a bunch of different pegs holding it up, and she was taught that you're one of those pegs. Your job is to uphold the country of China. And so it's fantastic to hear from her because she can't stand that system.
That's crazy.
And they got out. But I think it's funny that the son is just like, after like 2 days, it's like, is there a
McDonald's nearby?
Yeah, is there a multiplex? Because there's some family members I think that are in pretty big cities, but then there are other family members who are in the rural areas. And if you think it's hard to find an Olive Garden in American rural areas, You're not going to find anything like that in the rural areas of China.
Did she have any idea what they actually did with the food they boxed up?
No, she was a kid. She has no idea. I mean, maybe they just
took it home.
North Korea, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. What.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe something like that, or maybe they just said, everybody just take it home and eat it. I don't. I don't know. No, because I think under that you have to have propagandized the teachers as well, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work if the teachers know if they're in on it, so they have to believe. They were brought up believing the same thing. So so going to China, again, anywhere in the world, if I could blink my eyes, if you could do that Star Trek thing, where you can just like beam over to someplace, I'd love it. I'd love it. There are great people everywhere. I've learned that just in America.
I really like traveling.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I like being in the airport. I like getting places.
Yeah.
I hate the airport. It's like,
I
oh my,
love
there's all
the
kinds
airport.
of people trying to kill me, and
No, come on.
Lines for days.
Yeah, lines. I can't stand lines.
Where? What lines?
What line?
In Atlanta?
Security?
Yeah.
Big deal. You get through
Atlanta
that.
has that great idea. Let's put everybody from every airline through the same security in a huge market, the most traveled airport in the world.
Takes a minute.
I mean, in LAX, they don't do that. You have kind of different, smaller
They
security.
have that at BWI too, where
Yeah.
you separate out.
Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense. I've got an idea. Let's protect people, right? On the other side, we know that everybody's secure, right? Mm-hmm. So before we get and know that everybody's secure, before they walk through the metal detectors and take everything out of their pockets, let's gather them all together, like in one big place, so that you might have a chance because, we haven't checked you for a weapon yet.
Right. And then if something does go down, you're stuck in those little corrals.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. I'm not saying they don't have a plan and they're not looking, but my goodness. Break it up. And if it's Delta, give it 2 or 3 different ones that you can.
Wow, for a man that never travels, you got a lot of ideas.
Well, this is a lot of reasons why I don't travel. And I have had relatively good experiences in airports. I've never really had a horrible airport experience. I just don't like them. I just don't like doing that stuff. I will drive.
Oh, yeah.
I'll drive all the way up the East Coast before.
No, thank you.
It'd take me forever when I could get in a plane. And I think about it like an hour and a half in when I'm just past Chattanooga. I'd be landing right now.
I'd have to get the Lotus from The Spy Who Loved Me to get to England if I was going to drive.
Yeah, you'd be down in the water?
Underwater, yeah.
So when do you fly next?
Monday night.
How long is that flight?
I think it's about 7.5, 8 going.
Yeah.
8.5, 9 coming back. Something to do with the wind. If you're flying direct,
you bring your own movies now and stuff on the laptop?
There's so many movies on the plane, you don't have to.
Yeah, they have TV shows, movies, games.
You can binge watch.
Oh, well,
I did that. I did that with Barry. I watched the whole first season of Barry and
but
fell
were
in
you
love.
chuckling like in the seat and the people are like, what the hell?
People don't care. They're all in their own worlds with their headphones on, don't matter.
Yeah.
And very often
that's great. People not paying attention to each other.
Overnight flight to London, a lot of people are sleeping.
Eric, nothing will be set. Nothing will be okay. Oh, well, no one's paying attention.
I will tell
and then
you.
if people are paying attention, everyone's looking at me.
I will.
Can't win
tell
all
you.
of
I will.
No.
Was I watching a video about? I think it was a story we did earlier, and it was about people waiting in line for the chicken sandwich.
Oh, the
Popeye's chicken sandwich, and there was a video, and the reason I was supposed to be interested in this video was because people were getting short-tempered. But nothing really happened in this video. It was like 9 or 10 people standing in line inside, and inside the Popeyes. And the thing that jumped out at me is this is just, it couldn't be more random, right? I'm sitting in Roswell, Georgia. This is a story. There's a phone video attached. I watch it. So it couldn't be more random. Like 9 people in line. Every single one of them looking down at their phone. Every single one of them. And that's just a random draw from things happening yesterday in America. I'm not a moralist about this kind of stuff. And I know that you cannot change the way that things are going. But I'm a libertarian, so I wouldn't pass a law. But that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion. And my opinion is, it's not good. It's not good that whenever we get together, I'm the most antisocial person in the world, but when I'm around people, I'm like, okay, showtime. It's time to be social. So, and sometimes you can fake it till you make it, right? If you walk into a party, you don't know many people, you fake it, and then you meet a couple people that are kind of cool, and before you know it, you're making it,
Yeah.
And but now with the phone, we all have an excuse not to say, how you doing today? And start something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not people have noticed this before. There's nothing, but I don't think that there's any changing it. And if you think about how stupid it has made people already, think of 50 years from now or 100 years from now. There's going to be not no one, but I mean, there's going to be very few people who know how to communicate outside of emojis. I mean, that's not a good thing. That a person with a mind like that cannot do a deep dive, does not have the ability to understand really abstract concepts even. That's kind of the hardest thing. To get somebody to be a real thinker, you got to turn on that abstract part of your brain and be able to put things together that aren't put right in front of you and draw conclusions and use it or lose it. I mean, you don't use that muscle and a few generations go by, gone. You're really in idiocracy, which I've never seen, but people have told me about it enough that I know what went on. You know, you're really getting to that point. I believe, I've said it before, that within 12 years, a YouTube influencer, not somebody who started in regular media and went to YouTube, a person who's only famous because of YouTube and is an influencer, one of these people who makes $25 million a year.
Jenna Marbles, she could do it.
She could do it.
I think you'd vote for her because she's from Rochester.
She's from Rochester. I voted for Chuck Mangione.
Kim Kardashian is going to run for president. She's getting her legal degree, and in a few years, and she has enough popularity to...
I can't wait to see those debates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Did you say yes? So you say yes? You say
yeah.
No?
Yeah, no.
Yes?
No,
No.
It's
no, yes.
just, yeah, so.
I think it's yeah.
Yeah, no.
No? So I believe that somebody who is just an organic YouTube influencer will run for the presidency and maybe win it. I'm not predicting that, but be taken seriously. You know, be like where Buttigieg is or higher right now, where no one would have known who this person was before if you didn't follow them on YouTube. Because and some of the reason is that's the place to go. Some very creative stuff is being done on YouTube, but that's the day. And if your brain is just, you know, these listicles,
spoon fed,
and no, just that the belief that a story can be told in one paragraph or in 2 tweets and could be completely understood, and you can have an opinion. And I got some great stuff from Obama. I'm going to play it on the radio tomorrow. I think it was from last week or something.
He got torn apart.
I know, but you know what? He has been saying stuff like this for a long time. You know, Obama didn't like Fox News, but what right-wing radio never points out is he almost always was critical of MSNBC in the same... He was. You can agree with him or disagree with him, but what he was being critical about was a political stance before you start your broadcast day. Now, he's just like everybody else who would rather his message get out there, and he felt hounded by Fox News. But he said stuff like this before. Maybe we'll play it now, and then we'll do it then too, because it's 2 different things. So he's talking. I guess he had to speak about things because he opened, well, I don't know, some kind of thing with his Obama Center. You know, these presidents, they don't know how to just go away. They have to build these buildings.
It's my library center.
The library,
for everything.
And then, you know, everybody has to try to out Jimmy Carter. So this is him talking about basically millennials and the way they view politics. And this could have been said by a lot of people on the right.
You know, this idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly.
I broke this down to 4, break, because he tends to speak slowly. And I didn't think people would sit through the whole thing.
The world is messy. There are ambiguities. Yep. People who do really good stuff have flaws. Right. People who you are fighting may love their kids.
May.
And, you know, share certain things with you.
Come on, let's go.
Gotta be so careful.
But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb or
he meant pronoun,
then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. You know,
This is the end.
that's not activism. That's not bringing about change. You know, if all you're doing is casting stones, you know, you're probably not going to get that far. That's easy to do.
It's keeping up with the Wokersons.
The Wokersons, yeah.
Yes.
Is that a thing on Saturday Night Live or something? The Wokersons?
No, it's a thing that people do on social media,
Right.
where it's like, I called out, I'm saying something, and I'm in this group that's already woke, and then people within that group eat their own and say like, that person wasn't you assume their gender. You know, it's like you're talking to the same people.
And let me tell you something. And this could be like, oh, that Von Haessler with his conspiracy theories. I've never heard a conspiracy theory that I believe, but that kind of thing happens a lot in communist revolutions. Look at it. After they take over, they take power. Almost always, there's a year and a half of terror where the guy on top gets rid of everybody that's not deemed pure enough. In reality, he gets rid of everybody that may challenge him at some point in the future. But the way that you cover it is to say, oh, he wasn't a real believer. He wasn't pure enough. There's a great Twilight Zone that's based on Castro taking over. Peter Falk plays the Castro character. And it's all about the night that they take over. And immediately, all of this paranoia. Everyone that was his friend while they were on their way up, they don't call him Castro, but it's obvious. During the struggle, they were friends. As soon as he's the head, he looks out and just gets paranoid about all these enemies who are going to take him out. And then he gets preemptive. I'm going to take them out before they take me out. And that's a more extreme example, obviously, in those kind of real shooting revolutions. But it's the same kind of thing. After a revolution has to have enemies in order to stay potent. And so after you get rid of all the obvious enemies that were on the other side, it always happens that it turns on the inside. So wokeness has had a hell of an effect on society, and an awful lot of people are more open-minded about things that they weren't open-minded. So that's kind of been done. If you understand there will always be jerks in the world. But for the most part, that's kind of been done. People are tolerant and accepting a lot more. So in their own way, now it's time to go after our own. Let's this person is not woke enough, or you made a mistake and you said mankind, or something along those lines. There's no possible way that's legitimate, right? I'm getting angry at you for using the term mankind. Let me repeat, there's no possible way that that's legitimate, right? But it becomes a thing because, as my mom used to tell me, idle hands are the devil's playground. And once your revolution kind of does what it's supposed to do, then you're idle. Now you got to start shooting people that you used to call friends. And in our country, because we're free and we're able to publish and we're able to get our opinions off our chests, it doesn't come down to the barrel of a gun so often like in these other countries. But it's still the same instinct. It's still the same instinct. You have to be pure.
The Nazis did that. Yeah, they used a lot of people that were for primarily liberty and individual freedom, and they used them and used them and used them. And as soon as he took over, they're gone.
You're gone. I don't need you anymore, and you're a threat to me because I'm not about freedom.
Right.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Nazis. I've noticed, I have this weird thing where I watch Hitler documentaries for years. I'm fascinated by it. It's almost like watching a documentary about that first Super Bowl that the Bills lost. In my mind, the reason I watch is just somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, maybe he'll make the kick this time. As ridiculous as that is. But in the Hitler thing, I'm always like 40 minutes into an hour-long documentary like, nah, they're not going to fall for this. Nah, no way. They're going to see it. And then each time. So, but there's the newer group of documentaries on Nazis and Hitler. I noticed this little thing because of the triggered generation. Now, when they're talking about stuff, they go out of their way to go, but a few Germans did believe in Hitler's horrible, maniacal plans. They have to, every time they talk about the things that he was going to do. I was watching this one that was really about the people who gravitated toward Hitler. So it's kind of like that Norm Macdonald joke, like Hitler's dog loved him. So they're telling the story of people who were gravitating toward Hitler in 1919 to like 24. And so these people liked Hitler. So to tell the story, you have to say Hitler did this thing and these people got excited about it. And in the old days, you didn't have to worry that somebody watching would think that you were endorsing Hitler's plans if every time you brought it up, you didn't condemn it. That's what I'm talking about, the idiocracy thing, the dumbing down of America. You should not need that. You should not need the host to continually let you know that he's on the right side of history. It used to just be hey, Hitler's an awful monster. No one would think that the narrator of a documentary about what an awful monster he was would somehow be endorsing him. But it was driving me crazy. I was watching this one, I don't know, it was on Netflix or what it was, and it was new. And just every time his twisted, horrible, maniacal, yeah, we get it, he's Hitler. You used to just have to say Hitler.
This
and everybody
dark, vicious, murdering.
Yeah. By the way, the guy who's narrating, hey, by the way, just because I'm telling you he turned on some people with this stuff, I don't think I'm one of them. No, I didn't.
Hey, I mentioned his name. That doesn't mean I'm a Nazi.
Right. And it's just, all of that just builds up in this, I guess because people just want to stay in childhood or something, and they don't, it's like the always thing. It's like, okay, you live in a country, trans people were mocked for years. Things are better. They're not perfect. They'll get better.
Yeah, you don't have to go to like a back alley to get silicone injections in your butt because you want to have a shapelier figure because you're a man, you don't have hips. You don't have to do that.
But
you can go to a reputable place because it's available to you.
But you will, from time to time, be offended by things that you see. And what we should say is, as the government of the United States, we're out of that game. You just have to recognize, now, everybody, it's the old libertarian thing, your rights end at the bridge of my nose, meaning you're not allowed to strike me or harm me in any way, but as long as you're doing your thing, it's fine. And that's really the spirit that should be with everybody. So if you're transgendered, you're living in a country where it's better to be transgendered now than it used to be, and it's getting better all the time. None of that has anything to do with whether or not you will see things that upset you.
Well, they're also going to be.
One at a time.
Do you know we've heard of the term like helicopter parenting?
Yes.
Where you're
Mark McKay is no.
Where you
Smart and Mark. It's a helicopter parent. No? Okay, I get it.
No. Where they're hovering around their kid, always making sure they're safe, whatever. There's also something called lawnmower parenting, where parents
you chop your kids up.
Yeah, you just put their hand right in the blade.
Wow.
No, where you remove any obstacle that they may come across. So if there's something going on at school, you talk right to the school. You go right in there, you talk to the teacher, you talk to the principal. You if they're having some issue, you make sure, the kids are never able to sort of navigate through whatever they're trying to get through because you're removing every obstacle. And I wonder if that has come to light now where there are people who encounter an obstacle and are completely offended by it and say it shouldn't be there at all because it's just not fair that it's there because all the obstacles have always been removed from me.
And we can't grow. The real progress happens from dealing with obstacles. But I mean,
difficulty.
I've said this before. We have amazing homes and structures, architecture. That was because people didn't like having rain fall on their head.
Right, that was a challenge for them.
It was a challenge, right? And because of that, they figured out a way not only how to build, it started out with lean-tos and then ended up in the Sistine Chapel.
If you want to gain muscle, you don't weightlift with a pencil.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to challenge your muscles to tear and to grow bigger.
My muscles are so weak that a pencil actually is an effort.
Well, that's where you need to start. That's
where I'm starting. It's in my Apple Pencil.
I'm not shaming you.
You're judging me. As I know.
Look, he's lifting a pencil.
He's gonna,
what a loser.
How many curls?
3,000.
This bicep.
You're going for lean. You're not going for bulk.
This bicep built by Apple Pencil.
That's right.
There you go.
This guy's my hero.
Matthew Judon.
It's awesome.
Body built by Taco Bell.
Body built by
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. No, I was going to say, even though trans and everybody else has a lot of rights now, they're still going to meet people who don't accept them. And I know people who they get really, really upset about that, because they believe that they should be accepted. So it's still going to be tough now and again.
What's funny is that it would be there's such a double standard there, because a lot of the same people who say that shouldn't happen have no problem pointing at the top 1% or somebody and just making them feel uncomfortable, and because this notion, it's what Obama's talking about is I'm woker than you are. But what actually gets done? For both sides.
What's really happening.
Yeah, for both sides.
You're really just dividing people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying do the thing where it's like, I embrace the sinner. I'm not saying that. But you don't have to. You don't have to accept everyone if you don't want to. And you don't have to be accepted by everyone.
You just can't. Again, your rights end at the bridge of my nose.
Don't live in a world of should.
Ooh, look at that. What do you make it a calendar? 365 days?
Yeah.
January.
January. January. Don't live in a world of should. And then February, do something every day that scares you.
It's funny is that she's lazy, so it's just 12.
Every
just
single
one a
day.
month.
Oh, I thought you were doing one a day.
Nah, it's too
What
much.
No.
What
So
if
it's
everything you do scares you?
Well, then do it.
We
we were talking about that on the podcast, saying that what a stupid advice that is. Do something every day that scares you. That's a lot of stuff.
300. I don't have 365
You're
things
like,
that scare
the
me.
snake pit. There's a snake pit. I am afraid of it. I guess I got to do it.
You know what? Setting myself on fire. That's always frightened me.
You know what? It's a challenge.
Yes, it's a challenge.
I'll grow stronger if I don't die.
I drive to work and from work back home on the Hospitality Highway, 400. That's enough of a challenge for me.
All right.
2 ways
that's the
every
thing,
day.
every day.
I don't need anything after that.
Not to mention all the construction at 285 and 400.
I keep looking for that. Is that where the hospitality is? I keep looking for the hospitality on that highway.
There's an old Southern lady like, hi, y'all. Y'all doing great.
This is why I expect free lemonade or
Pardon
something.
our dust.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
see.
That music says we done.
Yeah,
I'm going to come back tomorrow. And, I should have said this. I said at the beginning of the radio show, but should have said at the end of the radio show, we're thinking about our friend Jared. He's 30 years old. He lost his mother, who was in her mid-50s. And that's something that you just don't expect to have to deal with, that kind of thing at that point in your life. And it was sudden. And so we're thinking about him. He's going to come back tomorrow, which I told him is fine. He can take the whole week off. He's going to come back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then he'll be back there on Friday. So we're thinking about you, Jared, and we hope your family is getting through this. We'll talk to you tomorrow.